and let's get into it and let's start talking about making progress. Now, if you listen to this podcast, you should be able to tell your boy is tired. You should know better than anybody that your boy just woke up. It's 11 a.m. and your boy just woke up, and that's what life is. We got to snoozing. Got up in the morning feeling Gucci. Went over to the scale to check my weight loss progress. We're down 2.8 pounds. Because your boy cut out the soda. Said, I don't need that shit. Said, I'm better than that shit. We got our dishes done. We're going to record this, set this to render. We're going to go get drop off some laundry. Because your boy lazy like that. Now, productive. But you got to afford yourself a luxury in life, people. You really do. You got to pick a thing and say, you know what? As productive and determined as I want to be, I'm going to afford myself this one luxury. And the one that I've chosen for life is that I don't like sitting around in a laundromat doing laundry. Now, when I have a washer and dryer at home, when your boy gets to that level, because I'll get to that level, because we're moving on up in life. But when your boy gets to that level, that's a different story. You're telling me I can go to my basement or go to my little closet that I have a washer and dryer in if I really get to that level. Throw a load in, throw a Tide Pod in, close that some bitch up, hit start, go back, play a video game for 30, 40 minutes, come back, pull the scoop de doop from one machine to the other machine, hit a timer, go back, play a video game for 40 minutes, and we're done? See, that ain't no problem. That ain't no problem. But now, let's change that. You're telling me your boy got to go. Take all of his clothes, put them in a hamper throughout the week, then bag those clothes up, take them to a laundromat that's 7 to 10 blocks away from your boy's living establishment. Your boy's got to carry that bag the whole way because your boy don't got space for a cart in his room. We tried that before, and it was annoying. So your boy carries it over his shoulder like the Hulk. Down 7 to 10 blocks. I don't count when I go. I know roughly how far it is. Then I have to go in there, wash it in there, sit there with nothing to do, stare at my phone, read a book. No, I love staring at my phone on the toilet in my room, somewhere comfortable. Or can I take that bag there, give it to the laundromat owners who are the kindest people in the world, contribute to their business by giving them more money than you would need to spend on laundry because I got it like that. And then asking them to have it ready by tomorrow. And then tomorrow I go and they did it. It's clean. It's been washed, dried, folded with the best detergents you can find imported all the way from Cambodia. I'm talking about, ain't that a peach? And that's how I live my life. That's the luxury I've picked. So we're going to go drop the laundry off like that. And then your boy's going to go out and get a haircut. We're going to get that haircut. We're going to be looking hot, fresh, and steamy. I might even have to stop by Home Depot to pick up a couple of extra sticks to beat these women off with once I get this haircut. That's the kind of life I'm talking about. But we've been staying consistent. Has a podcast come out every week? Yeah. An older me failed to do that. Go, all right, dude, we're going to do a weekly podcast. And then I just wouldn't feel like it. But you know what? Now I feel like it because we're getting stuff done. Your boy's going to start getting his permit. Your boy's got medical appointments. Got to go hang out in various locations for different reasons. Handing people different notations of currency for the different seasons. We're winning. Does it matter if my rhyme makes sense? No, because did it rhyme? Yes. But good morning, everybody out there. And I've already drank my water. If you start hearing some weird plasticky noises and some louder than you'd expect gulps, your boy's got a little bit of that dry mouth. I might be sipping on some of that Jesus nectar that we call H2O that I've got bottled up in a gallon by my side over here. But don't let it distract you from the truth. Don't let it distract you from the entertainment. Now, what I want to do is take a quick minute, ladies and gentlemen, outside of this content creation business, outside of this podcast, outside of streaming and YouTubing in podcasting. I have a regular 9 to 5, just like all of you. I'm just a guy. And my 9 to 5 is a customer service related job. Now, it's focused on technological support, but I got to deal with customers. No, I'm not in IT. You guessed wrong. At the end of the day, I have the world's craziest customer, and I'm going to give you a bit of insight as to how situations like that can play out. And I'm going to give you a bit of advice on how to deal with situations like that if you're ever in them, based on how I dealt with the situation. So, right now we're at a point where on the day that I'm working, my job closes at 5 p.m. And we need all of the customers to leave the building by 5 p.m. Well, there's one that's kind of lagging around using the bathroom. And I'm annoyed because if she does that, I've also got to kind of keep an eye on her and make sure that she knows to get the fuck out. Because she don't live here. And one thing, depending on especially the areas that you work in, you might get some customers who have nothing to do or nowhere to go. And so they will not leave. If you were to not say anything to them, they'd stay all night. You have customers where they're hoping you don't notice they're there. And you lock the door so they can snooze in the warmth of 4 walls for the night. And yeah, that's a sad story, but it's also not your problem. And they're supposed to understand it's not your problem. And you understand they're in desperation, but there's other solutions. So, this woman's lagging around in the bathroom. She finally decides to step on out of it. Well, she comes up to your boy. She has a question for your boy. Your boy answers the question. My question that I'm given actually can only be answered by another department in our building. So I explain this to the customer. And I say, hey, ma'am, we have another department that handles this question that you have. They're not here today. They're not here on weekends. Also, part of the reason they're not here, even if they were to be here, is that we're closed now. You need to go home, And I didn't necessarily tell her straight up she needs to go home, but I heavily implied that no one's here because we're closing. I just so happen to be, because I'm dedicated to my job, and I stick around to the last minute. This woman turns to me, looks at me in my soul. Now, when I tell you guys, for those of you who have worked in customer service or take public transportation or have to deal with the public in any way, shape, or form, I am sure you guys know about the crazy face. You've seen it, people on the street. You've seen it from homeless people on the street. I've seen it with the homeless people in Philadelphia. That's not a stylistic thing. That's a homeless requirement, that you have some shift of crazy face. Crazy face is basically the look someone will give you that'll make you realize this bitch is crazy, right? Male or female, this bitch is crazy. Now, this woman turns to me and begins to make her variation of crazy face. And I, with my enlightened, opened mind, my third eye goes, we've got a problem. This woman looks at me, makes crazy face, and says to me, oh, you must be one of those people who doesn't care about the universe if it doesn't concern you. And I lost my shit. Now, here's the thing with customer service. What most people would do is take a situation like that, feel offended, and retaliate. No, guys, that is not the answer. What you do is you tell them exactly what they want to hear, and then they leave. That's how this works with crazy people. Now, unless you have a crazy person on the street in a physical confrontation type scenario that says something to you offensive, do not sit down on your heels and say something back. They'll lick you, and now you've got God knows what. But when you're safe, I've got security around. The woman's not really threatening. I'm a lot bigger than she is, Bigger as to height. She was a little hefty. Ain't nothing wrong with being a little hefty. She also had a neck brace on, which was weird. But what I do is I politely dismiss the situation. I'm very polite, and I just act like it's not happening. So when you ask me, oh, you must be one of those people who isn't concerned unless it concerns you, I say yes. I don't argue about it, because I'm not going to feed into the argument you want to have. I go, yes, I am one of those people. How can I help you? And if it turns out one of those people can't help you, you have to leave now, because you don't live here. She then proceeds to ask my coworker about it. My coworker tells her the same answer that I gave her. Then she proceeds to explain to us that she's got a PhD in God knows what, macrobiology, super economics. She's got a PhD in quantum mechanical entanglement of the 3rd degree. She also apparently just came back from a trip to Japan. So konnichiwa, motherfuckers. She just came back from Japan. So Shinigami, I guess, you know? So, obviously, she doesn't have a PhD and she hasn't been to Japan. And we know this because we have, you along with me, my guys, okay, my homies, we know the second that this woman says she has a PhD and that she just got back from Japan, that both of those are lies. But what she does to try to assert her dominance intellectually is she poses a question to me that I've never been asked in my life before. And it was, oh, if you want to prove that you care about things other than yourself, which I'm not even trying to do right now, how many countries are there? Now, when I tell you, I don't know, I don't know. And if you're listening, there's a decent chance that you don't know. Unless you've recently Googled it or there's some reason for you to know. Most people, I believe, wouldn't know how many countries there are. And so now I'm in the situation where, of course, I don't know. And so I just tell the woman, hey, I don't know. And remember, it doesn't concern me. So I don't know because I don't care. That's the character we've turned me into. She says to me, well, there's 91. You would know that if you cared about anything other than yourself. Then she leaves. Now, if you've taken some time to Google this while I've been saying it, oh, she's wrong. Dude, there's 195. There's 195 countries, and this hoity-toity fucking woman came in, asked me for an answer. I gave her now when I tell you guys, if you were my best friend, this is the same answer I would have given you, because it was the answer to the question. I'm not lying. I'm not being dismissive because I want to go home, though I should have. Because what my job would have required me to do is tell her it's too late to be asking me questions, get the fuck out. And I decided to be a good Samaritan and take a minute to help her at my expense. Somehow she found that offensive. Now, your boy gets in situations like this. And sometimes, and these will happen to you. And sometimes you don't know why people took offense to this. Who knows if it's because I'm Hispanic looking, or as most people at my job will tell me, Bengali looking, though I don't see it. Who knows if it's because I'm younger, so she thinks it's like an ego thing with my intelligence, that I shouldn't think I'm so wise because I'm only like a young adult. And that's not my fault that I'm still kicking. It's not my fault that I've got a body built like a Greek god and a face like one too, and she can't handle that mentally. I don't see how that falls on me, but still, she somehow took offense to this answer that I gave her. Got the same answer from someone older, then felt like it wasn't offensive, called me stupid after being 100% wrong about something, because I Googled it after. You know I Googled it after? Because I'm smart. And so if she's got a PhD in physiological zoology, and she can't even know how many countries there are, and she uses that as a metric of your intelligence, and she got it wrong. And what really killed me about finding out that she got it wrong was the confidence and the fucking bluff that she made to me. Because what would she have done had I known in the moment how many countries there were? She would have went, how many countries are there? Because if she comes back, if I'm working tomorrow and she comes back and she goes, how many countries are there? And I go, 195. Now the fuck what? She's got to come up with another, how many miles deep is the Grand Canyon? Okay, I see what's happening here, you know? But that's the world of customer service, guys. When you want to get that paycheck so you can come home and make entertainment so you can try to get that paycheck, this is stuff you got to deal with. And people are crazy. And in any aspect of your life, you've got to deal with crazy people, really. They don't go away. They come out of the woodworks, especially when you're starting to succeed. You'll start realizing how crazy people really are. That's when people start asking you for favors. People start wanting you to give them money. People start asking you to fix their life problems because they see that you're fixing yours. And what I would implore you guys to do is to focus the energy of helping people on the people that you tell deserve it, that you can tell deserve it, not the people who just ask, because everybody will ask. I started getting into this Twitch thing and finding a little bit of traction. Everybody will ask, and I will help the people who will also do the work themselves, which I found to be like a good mantra for it. You want advice from me? I also want to know. I will give you some advice, and I will see whether or not you take the advice, because it's not like I have to be right thing. I'm answering based on what I know. But what I want to see to continue helping you is that you are also helping yourself. Do not waste time helping people who do not want to help themselves. That is such a horrible way to spend your life. Help people who appreciate the help, who are helping themselves, and who will grow up as time goes on, reduce their problems, increase their ability to then help someone else. And then the whole world's better. And that was an easy speech to give out. That wasn't even hard to come up with. I'm rambling. Sometimes I go into this podcast with a set list of stories that I want to discuss. I know we're only like 4 episodes in, but sometimes I go in with a set list of stories that I want to discuss. Today's one of those days where I didn't. I woke up out of bed. I hopped in the chair. I said, we got a podcast to record, and I got to going. Consistency, productivity, dedication. Okay. Nutrition-wise, your boy cut out soda. I've been eating like too much red meat, which I should fix. But if you guys saw my diet before, having steak and eggs a bunch of times with some water is a lot better than having a Little Caesars pizza, halal food, and ice cream every single day. And then going to the deli at 2 a.m. to get a ham and cheese on a hero, a bag of chips, another pint of ice cream, a cookie, a 2-liter of soda, a bag of hot fries, and sit down and eat the whole thing. You would be surprised the appetite. You would be surprised at the amount of food your boy can fit into his gut on the daily. And so cutting it down has been an experiment, because every second of the day I am hungry. But every day I lose a little bit more weight, and it's compounding. And within 1 week, just off the nutritional changes, we dropped 2.8 pounds. And all of you who are out there that are working on fitness goals, I want to see you do the same. Now, let's talk about some YouTube stuff. Now, I'm like not necessarily behind on this, but this happened like a while ago. It might be a little late to be talking about it, but that's the whole benefit of having your own podcast. I get to dictate when I talk about what I want to talk about. And I don't know if any of you are aware of Onision. I hope you guys are. But I will fill you up on the story anyway. It's a lot of information. And if this little segue into it gets you interested enough, start checking out some of the information online on this guy. Basically, he is in a situation right now where he is a YouTuber who is getting reported on by Chris Hansen. Mr. Chris Handsome. All right. Now, if you guys aren't familiar with the name, which would surprise me, Chris Hansen was the host of a little TV show called How to Catch a Predator. So you now try to sit. I'm going to give you like 5 seconds of silence to picture what kind of trouble Onision is in, okay? Crazy, right? So Onision is getting basically accused of allegedly child grooming, which is, you meet a girl, let's say the age of consent is 18 where you live, right? For the sake of argument. And you meet a girl who you think is pretty and you want to feel up on and do stuff too, but the girl is 16, and you groom her from 16 to 18 so that the second she turns 18, you can sleep with her, which apparently he and his wife, who is now transitioned into a man. I want to tell you guys there's a lot of information to pick up on. It is. He and his wife, who is now transitioned into a man, who goes by the name of Kai Jackson, groomed this like young blonde girl and then slept with her like the second she turned 18. And if that's not insanely sick. Now, I don't actually know if they saw. I'm pretty sure that the whole point of the story was that they did. He was also very abusive to other girlfriends that he had. They were also young or underage. I think at one point he flew one out. If she was like let's say 17 at the time. There was some other state where 16 was the age of consent. So he had her meet him in that state so he could sleep with her in that state where the age of consent was legal, which I think is also illegal. I knew the term for it when I watched that video like 3 weeks ago, forgot the term already. But it got to the point, this whole case, where basically it's now turned into this legal feud between Onision and Chris Hansen, because Chris Hansen is trying to get the FBI on the case, and I'm pretty sure at this point wants the guy put away. And Onision doesn't like getting called out for being creepy and possibly a pedophile and child grooming and sleeping with underage girls and what have you. So Chris Hansen actually goes to this fucking guy's house. Now, when I tell you alpha move, in most situations, not alpha move, don't just show up at people's houses, fucking creepy. But in a situation like this, and with the online bullying that Onision tries to do, he threatens legal action versus everybody who disagrees with him and whatnot. Chris Hansen shows up at this dude's front door, literally just to tell him, like, I know where you fucking live, basically. And starts knocking on his door, saying, give us your side of the story. Onision cowers inside of his house, calls 911 on Chris Hansen. The police come, get this, they show up, they know who Onision is, they hate him and are tired of having to answer police calls because of him or to deal with him. They're also fans of Chris Hansen. So this dude called the cops. Let me get some of this water real quick. Your boy was talking about it. Now your boy's salivating at the thought of a little bit of that H2O. Scrumptious. They call Chris Hansen. I'm sorry. He calls the cops. Now imagine being him, staring outside of the front of your house, seeing the cops show up, and then shake hands, ask for autographs, and take pictures with the guy that you want them to remove. And then say, yeah, they're tired of dealing with your shit. Now, if that's not a wake-up call when a whole police force sees your alleged attacker and it's like, oh, we love this guy. Oh, the guy in the house that's scared? Fuck that guy. Let him be scared. Come on, dude, you need a wake-up call. I also saw a video recently where there's a YouTuber by the name of Repzion, I think it's Repzion, who's been reporting, keeping people up to date on the Onision case. I've been watching his videos a lot to keep up to date on it because he does a good job of basically TLDRing the whole story for you. He had to deal with a quote-unquote legal suit from Onision, who then went to court and dismissed his own case at the court. What are you doing, you know? Oh, your boy feeling all kinds of tired today, but we're going to energize through it because we got ish to get done. But this Onision guy is fucking insane. And then it just, constantly puts me back on binges. Before it was Dr. Phil and Steve Wilkos and Jerry Springer, and I'll just keep watching How to Catch a Predator clips. The dude who ate pizza when he was talking to Chris Hansen. Watched my favorite one, if you ever get a chance to see it. There's a How to Catch a Predator clip where the guy goes into the house, realizes it's the How to Catch a Predator house, immediately, and I say this every time, why don't they just leave? Immediately 180s and leaves, and just gets fucking tackled outside. I don't know if I brought this up on the podcast before. Only 4 episodes in, and I might be repeating stories already. I don't think I did. But I talk about this a lot with my friends because it's fucking hysterical. This guy goes in, sees that it's Chris Hansen, goes, ha 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 ha, no. 180s, leaves out the front door, and just gets planted by the cops waiting outside. Now, I didn't know they had, of course, obviously, they would have a backup plan in case the predator just tries to run out of the house. But when I'm telling you this guy got Goldberg speared onto the floor by this cop and then had to go to jail anyway, I mean, let's talk about justice served, Of course, I mean, it sucks that we didn't get to go to the part where Chris Hansen reads out their text messages, because that's the best part of any How to Catch a Predator episode, is when Chris Hansen gets around to your text messages. Man, I don't know what you're talking about. The girl never told me she was underage. Oh, really? Then what is this a message between you and the girl here? Your name is Noob Killer 69, right? I've got a message here from you to the girl that says, hey, I'd like to lick on your big juicy buttocks and oil them up in margarine butter specifically. Can't believe it's not booty. Also, you're 12, right? The girl. Yes, I'm 12. You. Perfect. Because that would be illegal, which turns me on, and I want to go to jail, but not yet. Not until after I've licked butter off of your young butt. That doesn't sound like something I would say. It go, oh, it goes on, and he'll do this for like 20 minutes, and it's the best part of any How to Catch a Predator episode. I swear I'm gonna make a voicemail like that. If you call me, if you guys ever like dox me and find out my information, and you guys call me, you'll know what happened if I switch my voicemail to Chris Hansen. That's how you will know that I know that something's up. And you're like, oh, the number you've reached is not available. Please leave a message. Oh, you're trying to leave a message, right? You must think I'm underage and want to touch me, And then you turn around and I'm at your house with a pair of handcuffs and I take you to jail. And that's just how life is. And I would feel bad about it if it wasn't on you for invading my privacy. And that's how life goes. That's just how it is. And there's nothing much I can do for you in that kind of situation. You put it on yourself. Aside from that, if I'm trying to think of other interesting things that I've been doing, your boy's been getting into magic tricks. And when I tell you your boy's getting kind of good at magic tricks, I'm getting up to the point where now I can do tricks where you don't even have to pick a card. I can hold them up for you and say, you think of one that you want, and I still make that card appear. Your boy's dabbling in the dark arts. Now, I've worked out a system that's been pretty good for developing whether or not these tricks have gotten good enough to show people. Now, I work with kids at my job, which feels weird to bring up after talking about child predators. But just know, guys, that I'm on the front line defending them, okay? But sometimes the kids get antsy, and one of the good methods to deal with the kids is just to perform magic tricks for them. Because it distracts them, they get entertained by it, it's cute, they giggle, they ha-ha, and then they leave. So your boy's been working on some. What I will do is find a trick online that I want to learn, work out the trick to myself, I'll perform it for myself a good like 10 to 20 times. I will then bring that trick to work for those kids. I will perform the trick for the kids until I can do it consistently for the kids. Then I will take that trick home to the girlfriend. I'll perform it for the girlfriend. And if it works on all of them, then I'm ready to show you. I've even done one on stream before, even though only like 4 people saw it because everybody came into stream late. But that's your job to be there or check the archive. It's not my job to do the trick 100 times, or figure out when prime time is and start doing magic. I'm a gaming channel. But it is what it is. It's been fun, especially getting into like these mentalism tricks. Dude, when I tell you the difference in reaction of people between like, here, you pick a card, I'm going to go through all this BS, I'm going to make your card reappear, compared to, here, you think of a card, and I'm going to make that card appear. You don't even have to touch anything, whatever. I'm just going to go through the motions and bop, here's your card anyway. Now that fucked with people. Now, there's a lot of nuance to that. I mean, you guys can look it up online yourselves. It's not up to me to discuss the secrets, but it's not like in this day and age, it's not readily available information. And then what I like to do is go on and watch a high-level magician do smaller level tricks and just learn how to do their smaller level tricks. Because some of them are actually not too hard to perform. But if David Blaine does a trick that's like a simple card trick, and David Blaine thinks it's good enough to do to people, and then you can learn it. I've learned one of his tricks. You can learn it and then perform it for people. You're David Blaine now. The only difference between you and David Blaine is that you don't like suffocating yourself or dangling from a building. Hey, who in the world would have a bigger chance of having an autoerotic asphyxiation fetish than David Blaine? I want to talk about it. Who would be more into BDSM than David Blaine? My man wants to push the limits of his body all the time and turn that into magic, and you don't think he's doing that in the bedroom? Who has a better chance of liking to be choked in the bedroom than a man who, for fun, stays underwater in a bubble for a week and then sees how long he can hold his breath? But he's not going to ask his lady to hold a belt around his neck? Come on now. I'm not stupid, and if she holds the belt too tight, he'll just do magic and get it off. Or he'll do magic and get off. And And that's what happens when you're smart and you have clever wordplay like me, and you can realize in the moment. Dude, no one would be more into weird, kinky sexual shit than David Blaine. Maybe only Chris Angel, and maybe Chris Angel a little more because he wasn't as successful. And it's because Chris Angel got found out. And this is the thing with magicians like Chris Angel. Basically, Chris Angel was using a lot of TV magic to sell that he was doing tricks that he wasn't doing. And then people found out. The thing is, people will see you recording the show, dude. They'll see the wire that gets edited out on TV. They'll see the glass panels in the water that get edited out for TV. With the choreographed people swimming in between. So he did this one trick where I think he did like a Jesus walking on water thing across this pool. And people found out later, at least the theory that I heard. I might be remembering this incorrectly because this was years ago that I saw all this. Basically what happened was they had like glass or plastic panels inside of the pool for him to step on. He just had to remember roughly where they were. I'm pretty sure, he could feel them and see them. Part of what sold the trick for TV is that while he's walking across the water, there's these random people swimming in the water that swim under him to kind of like show you that nothing's there. But turns out what they did was just swim in between those panels he was walking on. They were also in on it. And people find this shit out. And now he's been disgraced. Now, when David Blaine says, I'm going to hang upside down by my penis on top of the Empire State Building for 20 minutes, he actually does that. And that's part of why he definitely has such a fetish. But you're going to tell me that Chris Angel is going to try to do all of this stuff? It's not going to work. And he's not going to come up with some kink too. At least be a foot guy. Chris Angel's definitely a foot guy. David Copperfield would be a tantric lover. Penn and Teller into threesomes. I mean, that's not hard to figure out. Or orgies. I would think threesomes, though. We're going to cut this one girl in half. You get the top, I get the bottom, we'll just cut this girl in half, and then, I got the bottom yesterday. You can get the bottom today. I'll get the top today. Which side would they even prefer? Maybe they have a preferred side, I don't know. I mean, that's the world of magic. I'm going to stay on the card level. Something tells me that if I get to the top of that, I'm going to develop some weird shit too. I'll just stay on the bottom level of being able to do cool card tricks. And I'll leave it at that. I think I'm pretty happy with that. But, so David Blaine, autoerotic asphyxiation. Chris Angel, definitely into feet. Possibly getting peed on. Something to think about. David Copperfield, tantric sex and a lot of missionary. Penn and Teller threesomes or sharing a girl. Well, we're saying threesome, but a very magical threesome. Which one would you have to like to sleep with? That'll probably be a poll question on Twitter. I'm probably going to put up on Twitter, which magician would you rather sleep with? And it is on you to know what I'm talking about, That'll be my test if you guys have been listening. If you got this far in to hear that and then have that information and then answer a question. Because if you go, oh, Penn and Teller, and I go, oh, so you're into threesomes, huh? And you go, what are you talking about? I know you didn't listen. But if I know you didn't listen, it's going to hurt my feelings. It's not going to do anything for you. You're living a regular life. It's not like I'm paying you to listen to this. But maybe I should just start paying people to listen to the podcast so it goes up in popularity. And let me stop myself there, because that, ladies and gentlemen, was an example of how you do not build an audience online. Because when I tell you, one of the biggest ones that used to piss me off that people do all the time, subscription for subscription on YouTube was the dumbest I want to get popular gimmick that I've ever seen in the universe. Because what are you going to want to do at some point? You're going to want to unsubscribe from everybody that you subscribe to so that they could follow you. And what are they going to do? Unsubscribe from you when they notice you unsubscribe from them. But even now on Twitch, I will be streaming. And at some point, somebody will come into my stream and go, hey, now it doesn't happen all the time now. It's been dying out. I think people are starting to realize that it's stupid and it doesn't work. But people will come into my stream and go, hey, man, I followed you. Would love if you followed back. And that's not how we do it. Do a follow for follow, subscribe for subscribe. That's stupid. You're supposed to be focused on the level of engagement you get for your content. The ratio between the amount of people that follow you and the engagement that you have. That's what you want. If you've got 30 people, your dream is that you get 30 views every video, minimum. Now, obviously, you'd want more, but you would hope that every time you put a video out, you were guaranteed 30 views because you had 30 followers who were so engaged with your content that they watched every video, and so you always knew you had a default amount of 30 views. And then if you got a 31st follower, you'd have 31 views. That would be your dream. Now, what it turns out to be is a lot lower. You'd be lucky for like 15 to 20%. But if you do follow for follower, sub for sub, none of these people care about you or your content. They're not interested in the stuff that you're putting out. They're focused on the number. And the number isn't the success, people. It's the engagement. Because engagement represents your level of influence, and your level of influence dictates whether or not sponsors want to bother with you. Because they want to get their product out to people. And if they see you have 1 million subscribers and you're following 1 million YouTube accounts, but you're posting videos that are getting 7 views, you're not getting a sponsorship. I'm not going to hire you to do my Raid Shadow Legends ad so that 7 people can see it. And you'll think to yourself, well, I have 1 million subscribers. You don't. You've got a number. You basically did inspect element on your website and just put a bunch of zeros after your subscriber count and thought that I would fall for it. And I've got money. I'm not stupid. I've got a PhD in biological anthropomorphical zoology, and I just got back from a trip to Japan. I've got this neck brace on because my brain is so big that if I don't have the neck brace on, it'll snap my neck. I'm not going to give you free money to advertise to nobody. You don't even know how many countries there are in the world, let alone how many subscribers you actually have. And you think I'm just going to be throwing free internet money at you? Boy, you bugging, huh? But people will do this. People will do this. People will beg for views. You know, it's different to market yourself. You have to market yourself. Tell people that like you stream. Because the last thing you want to do is do this as a hobby and be too ashamed to say it's a hobby of yours. That's lamer than having it as a hobby. This is not even really a lame hobby to have. It's so interesting too how like this, you know, obviously part of the, excuse me, that was a burp because I'm comfortable, you know. A part of the allure of getting into content creation is to some level like the level of like internet celebrity that you get. I'm not necessarily so interested in internet celebrity. I like the idea of being able to get paid and making a living. I like the idea of being able to make a living doing something that I love to do, and I love creating content. It's a real hobby of mine. I try to make it evident through the quality of content that I provide and the different forms of it. I don't care what it is. I like podcasting. I like making videos. I like streaming and engaging with people. I like interacting on Twitter. I don't do it as much with Instagram because I still feel fat, but when your boy gets back under 200, we'll be back on Instagram, you know? I like content creation. But, you know, you'll see so many people that you went to high school with that you didn't think would be into it that are just chasing that little bit of internet clout, man. You know, I saw a girl that used to go to a basketball program that I go to, vlogging randomly. I think we became friends on Facebook, and then I checked her profile out, and she was vlogging. She's not getting far with it. I think she posted like 4 of them like 2 years ago, but she tried it for a bit. And so many people that you meet secretly have a YouTube channel, secretly have this. But if you really want to chase it as a career, you've got to let people know. The only reason that this podcast is listened to at all is because I tell people that I have it if they want to listen to it. Most of them don't, because not everybody has made the transition over to podcasts yet, though most people have. But I also don't have the level of status where people care necessarily about what I say, which is fine. It doesn't like upset me. But imagine if I just started, if I just started uploading podcasts and not telling anybody, there's a very slim chance that goes anywhere. That's something to think about for you guys. We're at roughly the 40-minute mark. Your boy's getting a little dazed and has some stuff to do. So instead of padding it to the 40-minute mark and being fake to you guys, let's just get right into the Twitter questions that we had today. Of course, guys, if you would like to have a chance to have your question answered on the podcast, go to Twitter and make a tweet using @JudgeMentPod or #JudgeMentPod, or reply to tweets from JudgeMentPod. There will always be one up every week asking if you guys have questions. I've got it up right now, and we've got 2. So let's start with the first one from I Saw Chaos. It's ISAWCHAOS. Says, let's say you can only eat Subway sandwiches for a day. Which sandwiches are you buying and why? Name your top 3. Very easy. It's not even something I have to think about. It's something I've thought about. Number 1, tuna. Now, when I tell you tuna, I'm talking just Italian, but not Italian herbs and cheese. You don't get extra with the tuna. Italian toasted, put it in the oven, toast it, bring it back out, put tuna fish on it, put salt and pepper, call it a fucking day. I don't want anything else on it. I don't need cheese. I'm not trying to do a tuna melt. I want a tuna fish sandwich. And what I mean by that is I want tuna on toasted bread with salt and pepper, and that is it. No onions, no extra anything. If you can't keep it simple like that, you can't fuck with me with sandwiches, okay? Sandwich number 2, meatball marinara. Why? Because when I was a kid, I would get meatball marinara, and the feeling of consuming one brings me back home to when I was like 7 years old, and it makes me cozy. And your boy likes feeling cozy. Sandwich number 3, buffalo chicken and bacon ranch on an Italian herbs and cheese. Now, any of these will get comboed with a cookie, specifically a white chip macadamia nut, because the best one they have. On certain occasions, yeah, maybe I'll just get a regular fucking chocolate chip. Or that like raspberry one that they have with whatever the fuck that one is. But with white chip macadamia nut cookie, a bag of Cool Ranch Doritos, and a lot of soda. But that also was the old me. So nowadays, it'd probably just be the tuna fish sandwich with some water. Which would be a little gross, but you gotta make some sacrifices to progress in your health goals. Question number 2, and the last question that we got, one that I did see previously, so I already kind of thought about my answer to this, so I'm not necessarily responding in real time. Would you rather have dick-sized nipples or a nipple-sized dick? Now, obviously, dick-sized nipples. And why dick-sized nipples? Because cosmetic surgery to fix them. But nipple-sized dick, no cosmetic surgery for that. You just will never be able to please your partner, which would be very depressing for you throughout the entirety of your life, aside from the shameful fact that everybody will call you Lil Dick or Diddle Lick, which I think is like a FGC player, goes by the username Diddle Lick. So maybe he would choose that. But I would have to choose elongated pepperoni nipples and then a cosmetic surgery to cut them down, which they would probably do when you're a baby, which means it would be the same thing as being circumcised. Like if you're circumcised out there, you clearly don't remember getting circumcised. You just realize that you are. You wouldn't even remember your nipple cosmetic surgery. You would come out, they'd go, oh, what the fuck is that? They'd fucking clip it off with the umbilical cord. You're crying anyway. They'd go snip, 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 and it would no longer be a problem. Now, if you're talking about which one I'd have to have right now, if I had to choose, nipples, and then I would go, I would hide it. I'd wear really baggy shirts for like a month and go get it taken care of. And I just solved the issue. So that question isn't even a question. And when I tell you guys that I come out here with high-level intellect, I need you to understand that I come out here with high-level intellect. And if you're going to throw a would you rather at me like that, you better make damn sure that it is not that easy to find a solution to it. Because when I saw that question, I thought about it for 5 minutes at most. And that's me trying to give you credit that it took me 5 minutes. I believe I looked at it for 1 and was like, oh, cosmetic surgery, get rid of the nipples, and solve the whole thing. So, tuna fish, salt and pepper on Italian, toasted. You know, toast it before you put the tuna fish. Don't be an idiot and toast it with the tuna fish. Ruin the whole fucking thing. Meatball marinara on Italian herbs and cheese with mozzarella. Buffalo chicken and bacon ranch on Italian herbs and cheese with a white chip macadamia nut cookie, a bag of Cool Ranch Doritos, and a soda. And dick-sized nipples, cosmetic surgery, and then I fixed my life. Anyways, guys, you already know what time it is. That is the podcast for this week. We will have another one posted next week, as we always do. You know I love you guys to death, and I will see you next time. I'm always appreciative of you guys listening. Of course, if you'd like to watch me stream live, you can on twitch.tv/Kevin M. Cologne. That link will be in the description below. Search me up on YouTube, find my stuff, and let's have a grand old time. You know, Talk to me on Twitter. Do what you got to do. Anyway, I love you guys to pieces, and I will see you next time. Peace.